I'm Mia Carter, and Detroit is my soul etched in concrete and steel. The gym smelled of old sweat and cracked leather, the same smell that welcomed me at the age of 12, when I learned to punch so as not to be beaten by life. That night, the ring was in front of me, lit by spotlights that seemed to burn my skin. My fists, wrapped in worn bandages, trembled, not from fear but from something deeper, an anger mixed with doubt. I was back against all odds, after 2 years away from an injury that tore my shoulder and my confidence. Like the video and tell us which state you're watching from. You don't belong here anymore, Carter, Coach Vic said, his voice hoarse as he tied my gloves. He didn't look into my eyes as if he feared to see the truth in them. This girl, Talia Brooks, is a machine. It will destroy you. I swallowed, feeling the weight of his words like a punch in the stomach. He was wrong, he had to be. But the mirror in the corner of the gym reflected a 32-year-old woman, with scars on her face and a look that didn't know if it was fire or ash. The audience began to fill the stands, a sea of anonymous faces that screamed for blood and spectacle. Detroit doesn't forgive the weak, and I knew that better than anyone. I grew up on the streets where survival was a game of dodge, and boxing saved me from becoming a statistic. But now, with my shoulders still screaming with every movement, I wondered if the ring would be my grave. You were once good, Mia, Vic continued, now lower, almost a whisper. But the world has changed. You're not the Detroit Thunder anymore. I gritted my teeth, feeling the heat rise up my chest. He didn't know about the promise I made to my mother before she left, that I would be more than the streets, more than the statistics. I wasn't there for him, nor for the audience. He was there for me. The bell rang and the sound cut through the air like a knife. Talia stepped into the ring, her eyes razor sharp, a cold smile on her lips. I raised my fists, feeling the ground vibrate beneath my feet. It was now or never. The ring was a world apart, a square of canvas where time slowed down and every second was a battle. Talia came at me like a hurricane, her punches quick and precise, cutting through the air with a hiss. I dodged the first jab, but the second hit my chin, making my vision flicker. The audience roared, and I felt the metallic taste of blood in my mouth. Is that what you got, Carter? She shouted, her voice charged with contempt. An old woman trying to play champion? I stepped back, my feet sliding on the canvas, my shoulder throbbing as if someone was driving a knife into it. Every move was a trial by fire, but I couldn't give up. I thought of my mother, the nights she spent sewing my torn clothes, saying that I was made for big things. You're thunder, Mia, she said, a smile that lit up even the shadows of Detroit. That thunder was still in me, even if the world doubted it. Talia advanced again, but this time I saw a gap. My left hook hit her flank and she grunted, surprised. The audience exploded, and for a moment, I felt the old flame ignite. Yes, Mia, someone shouted from the audience, and I recognized the voice of my younger brother, Jamal. He was there, believing in me when no one else did. But the euphoria was short-lived. Talia countered with an uppercut that made my neck snap, and I staggered backwards, the ring ropes holding my weight. My lungs were burning, and the shoulder seemed about to give way. You're slow, Carter, she sneered, circling like a predator. Slow and finished. The bell saved me from the first round, but as I returned to the corner, Vic's look said it all. He thought I wouldn't last until the end. I sat on the bench, panting, sweat dripping like tears. Do you want to stop? He asked, almost begging. I nodded firmly. It's not over until I say it's over. As Vic splashed water on my face, flashes of the past invaded my mind. I saw the day the doctor held my x-ray, the image of my shoulder shattered after a fight that should have been my consecration. You'll never box again, Mia, he said with the coolness of someone handing out a death sentence. I spent months in a spiral of pain, pills and whiskey bottles, watching my life crumble like the abandoned factories of Detroit. Jamal was the one who pulled me out of the deep end. He showed up at my door, thin and with dark circles under his eyes, but with a fire in his eyes that reminded me of myself at 15. You're the thunder of Detroit, sis, he said, tossing my old gloves into my lap. Don't let them erase you. It was for him that I went back to training, each punch a battle against pain, each day a war against doubt. In the ring, the second round began, and Talia was even fiercer. She hit me with a combination that made my body scream, but I stayed on my feet, blocking what I could. You're gone, Carter, she shouted, and the audience laughed as if I were a joke. But I saw something in her eyes, a glint of frustration. She expected me to fall easily, and I was still there. I responded with a straight man who caught his nose, and the blood flowed, staining the canvas. The audience was silent for a second, surprised, before bursting into screams. Is that all you have, Blade? I growled, my voice hoarse but firm. For the first time I saw doubt on her face. The round was over, and as I returned to the corner, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: hope. Maybe I would still have a chance. Perhaps the thunder could still roar. Detroit was in the air that night, not only in the gym but in every breath I took. The city created me, broke me, and shaped me again. I could hear the echoes of distant sirens, the sound of factories still struggling to survive as I did. In the third round, I knew I needed to change the game. Talia was younger, faster, but I had something she didn't have: the soul of a survivor. "You're fighting with anger, Mia," Vic said as he rubbed my shoulders. "Anger doesn't win a fight. Focus wins." He was right, but anger was all that kept me going. Anger at the doctor who said I would never come back, anger at the sponsors who abandoned me, anger at myself for almost believing them. Talia came with everything, her punches like hammers, but I started to read her moves. She was predictable, repeating combinations as if she were in a video game. I dodged a hook and planted a hook on his chin, feeling the impact reverberate through my arm. The crowd roared, and I saw Jamal jumping into the stands, screaming my name. But then my shoulder gave way. A pop, a stabbing pain, and my right arm became heavy, useless. Talia noticed, her eyes shining at the chance to knock me down. She moved forward, and I could only block with my left, my body screaming to give up. "Finish her off, Blade," someone shouted, and I felt Detroit turning its back on me. The bell rang and I collapsed on the bench, the world turning. "Do you want to stop, Mia?" Vic asked, his tone now softer, almost fatherly. I looked at him, then Jamal in the crowd, and whispered, "Never." The fourth round was hell. My right shoulder was dead, every movement an agony that rose to my brain. Talia knew this and focused her blows there, like a wolf that smells blood. "You're finished, Carter," she said between punches, her cruel smile. I could barely lift my right arm to block, so I used my left, dodging as best I could, my feet dancing on the canvas like old times. The audience was divided now. Some were screaming for Talia, others were beginning to cheer for me, the zebra that had not yet fallen. I could feel the looks, the tension in the air, as if all of Detroit was holding its breath. "You are more than that, Mia," I said to myself, repeating my mother's words. But the body did not follow the mind. Then something changed. Talia made a mistake. She moved too fast, left her flank open. I didn't think, I just acted. My left hook hit her liver and she bent, the air escaping her like a leaky balloon. The gym exploded, and for a moment I went to Detroit Thunder again. But the pain in my shoulder came back, stronger, as if it was punishing me for daring to fight. Talia recovered, and her eyes were now pure hatred. She came with a fury I had never seen, and the round ended with me leaning against the ropes, barely breathing. In the corner, Vic grabbed my face, forcing me to look at him. "You're fighting with your heart, girl. But heart does not heal shoulder. Do you want to stop?" I spit out the mouthguard, the blood staining my glove. "I'm not going to stop until she falls." The fifth round started with the gym in a fever. The audience was on its feet, screaming, some for me, some for Talia. I felt the weight of every look, every scream, as if Detroit was judging my existence. My shoulder was an ember, but I couldn't let it stop me. I was more than the pain, more than the scars. Talia came with confidence, thinking she had already broken me. "You're pathetic, Carter," she said as she threw a jab that caught my nose. Blood flowed hot down my chin, but I didn't back down. Instead, she smiles, a smile that made her hesitate. "Pathetic is the one who thinks he's already won," I replied, and my left hand hit his temple. The blow threw her off balance, and the audience went wild. I saw Jamal in the crowd, his eyes shining with tears and pride. "Go, sis," he shouted, and those words were like gasoline on my fire. I moved forward, ignoring the pain, throwing everything I had, hooks, straight wires, anything my body could still get my hands on. But Talia was a champion for a reason. She recovered, countering with a combination that made me see stars. My shoulder screamed and I almost fell, my legs wobbly. "You're dead, Carter," she hissed, and I knew she was right, unless I found something inside of me that I didn't even know existed. The bell rang and I went back to the corner, the world turning. Vic didn't say anything this time, just handed me water and wiped the blood from my face. He knew that words wouldn't change anything now. It was me against myself. At halftime, the gym seemed to pulsate with a living energy, as if the city itself was breathing with me. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the pain, the noise, the fear. I thought of my mother, the way she held my hand when I was a child, promising that I could be anything. "You're thunder, Mia," she said, and I could hear her voice now, clear as the ring bell. "Mia, look at me," Vic said, her voice cutting through my thoughts. "Why are you fighting? Out of pride? For fame? Or for something bigger?" I opened my eyes, and for the first time that night, I saw something beyond doubt on his face. He believed in me even if only a little. For me, I replied, my voice steady. And for everyone who has given up on me. The 6th round started and I knew it was now or never. Talia was tired, her movements a little slower but still dangerous. I needed to be smart, use my head, not just my fists. I began to circulate, keeping her at a distance, studying her every step. She tried a hook but I dodged it, countering with a jab that caught her left eye. The audience was ecstatic and I felt their energy lift me up. But my shoulder was on edge, every punch torture. You can't take it anymore, Carter? Talia screamed, but her voice trembled now. She was feeling the pressure and I knew I could use her. The round ended with the two of us exchanging blows in the center of the ring, a clash of pure will. When the bell rang, I felt no relief, only determination. I was going to end it even if it was the last thing I did. The 7th round was where everything changed. My body was at the limit, the shoulder a ruin, but my mind was clear. I saw Talia hesitate, her eyes searching for a weakness she no longer found. She was used to fast-falling opponents, but I was Detroit, broken but never destroyed. Mia, you need to take her down now, Vic whispered at halftime. She's tired, but so are you. If that's for the points, you lose. He was right. The judges would not give the victory to a former champion with her arm almost dead. I needed a knockout and I needed it now. In the ring, Talia tried to corner me, but I danced around her, using every ounce of energy I had left. Are you running away, Carter? She teased, but I could see the sweat running down her face, her heavy breathing. She was on the edge as much as I was. So I saw my chance. She let her guard down for a second and I threw it all on a left hook. The punch hit her chin with a crack that echoed in the gym and Talia fell, the canvas shaking under her weight. The audience was silent, astonished, before erupting in screams. But Talia stood up, staggering before the count reached 8. His eyes burned with hatred and I knew that the next round would be the hardest of my life. The 8th round began with Talia as a wounded beast. She came at me with a fury I didn't expect, her punches heavier, more desperate. I blocked out what I could, but my right shoulder was useless now, hanging like dead weight. Every blow I took seemed to rip off a piece of me, but I didn't fall. Do you think you can knock me down, Carter? She shouted, her voice broken with exhaustion. You're nothing. But I saw the fear in her eyes, hidden behind the anger. She knew I was more than she bargained for, and it was destroying her. I responded with a jab, weak but precise, hitting his forehead. She stepped back, surprised, and I took the opportunity to move forward, playing a combination I learned at age 16 on the streets of Detroit. Every punch was a memory, every night of hunger, every rejection, every tear. I was thunder and she was going to feel it. The audience was on its feet, the gymnasium trembling with its screams. Jamal was in the front row, banging on the railing, screaming my name as if his life depended on it. For him, for my mother, for me, I kept going even when my body begged to stop. The bell rang and I could barely get back to singing. Vic held my shoulders, his eyes shining. You're almost there, Mia. Just a little longer. I nodded, breathless, knowing that the next round would decide everything. In the 9th round, the gym looked like a volcano about to explode. Talia and I were exhausted, two warriors on the edge, fighting not only for the title but for something greater: respect, redemption, survival. My eyes met hers and for the first time, I saw no contempt, only tiredness. She was human just like me. You're good, Carter, she said quietly as we stared at each other in the center of the ring. But not good enough. His words were like a punch, but I smiled, showing my blood-stained teeth. You're already talking like you lost, Blade? I attacked first, a left right hand that caught his shoulder. She responded with a hook and I felt the impact reverberate to my bones. My shoulder screamed, but I ignored it, focusing on her eyes, looking for the next gap. Detroit was with me, I could feel it. The city that never gives up, even when all seems lost. The round was a brutal dance, each of us throwing everything we had. The audience screamed, but the sound seemed distant, as if the whole world was just me, Talia, and the ring. When the bell rang, we were both panting, bloodied, but standing. In the corner, Vic held my face. You're making history, Mia. It doesn't stop now. I nodded, feeling the tears burn my eyes. They were not tears of pain, but tears of something greater: pride. The 10th round was where fate showed its claws. Talia came with everything, knowing that she was running out of time. His punches were desperate but still sharp, and one of them hit my left eye, which swelled on the spot, reducing my vision to a blur. I staggered, the world spinning, but I stood tall, the ropes of the ring as the only allies. Finish her, Talia, someone shouted, and I felt the weight of Detroit judging me again. But then I heard Jamal's voice clear above the chaos. "You're thunder, sis. Don't fall." Those words anchored me, reminded me of who I was. I wasn't just Mia Carter, the broken boxer. I was the thunder of Detroit. I attacked, ignoring the pain, the fatigue, the fear. My left hook hit Talia's chin and she stumbled, her eyes glazed over. The gym was silent, as if time had stopped. I pushed forward, throwing a combination I learned on the streets, each punch loaded with years of struggle. Talia fell, the tarp shaking under her weight. The referee started the count and I stood there, panting, watching her body motionless. "Stand up, Blade," I whispered, not out of pity, but because I wanted her to know that I really beat her. She didn't get up. The referee raised my arm and the gym exploded. But the victory still didn't seem real. The audience screamed my name, but I barely heard. My body was a ruin, my shoulder an ember, my swollen eye almost closed. Jamal ran into the ring, hugging me so tight that I almost fell. "You did, sis. You did," he shouted, tears streaming down his face. I smiled, but inside me something was wrong. The victory should be sweet, but there was a void. Vic stepped into the ring, his eyes shining with something I'd never seen before: respect. "You've proven me wrong, Mia," he said, his voice breaking. "You're the thunder of Detroit." But as he spoke, I saw Talia being helped to her feet, her eyes meeting mine. There was no hatred there, just a deep sadness, as if she had lost more than a fight. I walked out of the ring, the audience surrounding me, camera flashes blinding me. But my mind was elsewhere. I thought about my mother, the promise I made to her, and the price I paid to get there. Every punch, every scar, every night of doubt, it all led up to this moment. But why didn't I feel peace? In the locker rooms, as I took off my gloves, Jamal sat next to me. "Are you okay, sis?" he asked, his voice soft. I shook my head, not knowing how to answer. The truth was that I didn't know if I was okay. I won, but at what cost? Then the door opened and Talia entered, still with her face swollen, the dried blood in the corner of her mouth. "You fought well, Carter," she said, her voice low, almost broken. "But it doesn't change who you are." His words hit me harder than any punch. Talia's words echoed in my head as I walked out of the gym, the Detroit cold cutting through my skin. The public had already left, the streets were empty, but the city seemed alive, as if it was whispering my name. I stopped, staring up at the dark sky, the stars hidden by pollution. Who am I? I asked myself, the echo of Talia's voice still haunting me. Jamal walked beside me, silent, as if he knew I needed space. But then he held my hand as he did when we were children. "You're Detroit Thunder, sis," he said, his voice steady. "Not because you won today, but because you never gave up." I felt the tears burn, but this time I let them fall. When I got home, I opened the drawer where I kept an old photo of my mother. She smiled, her eyes full of hope, even on the worst nights. "I did, Mom," I whispered, holding the photo to my chest. But then I saw something in the corner of the drawer, a letter yellowed with her handwriting. My heart stopped as I opened it. "Mia, my thunder," the letter began. "If you're reading this, it's because you've won the biggest fight of your life, not in the ring but inside you. I always knew you were greater than any pain, any doubt. Long live my daughter. Live for yourself." Her words broke me, but they also rebuilt me. I wasn't just the boxer who beat Talia Brooks. I was Mia Carter, daughter of Detroit, a woman who fell but always got up. The thunder was not the sound of my punches, but the force that kept me alive. And that night, under the dark Detroit sky, I finally understood. The greatest victory was not the belt, but the courage to continue being myself.